She came up behind him, Jesus, and touched the edge of his cloak. That's a mistranslation, by the way. It wasn't the edge of his cloak. It was the edge of his prayer shawl, his tallit. She touched the tassels, the tzitzit, of his tallit. And suddenly Malachi chapter 3 was fulfilled. The sun rose with healing in his wings. You know what the tzitzit are called? The wings of the tallit. So if you care about such things, that's in his translation. She touched the edge of his tallit, and immediately her bleeding stopped. Who touched me? Jesus asked. When they all denied it, Peter said, Master, the people are crowding and pressing against you. But Jesus said, someone touched me. I know that power has gone out from me. You know, there were all these crowds surrounding him, and yet Jesus could distinguish between their touch and the touch of this woman who needed his help. Our world is becoming more and more impersonal, isn't it? I mean, the personal touch is pretty much gone. You know, let's go back even 100 years ago. If you wanted to spend time with someone, you went to that person and you spent time with them. And then the telephone was invented. Now if you wanted to talk to that person, you picked up the phone and you called them. And then Al Gore invented the internet. I don't think that's true. And now we email. There's not even a personal voice involved. And now we stay in touch on Facebook. You know, and I'm not putting those things down. I'm involved in all that stuff. But it's impersonal. Very impersonal. You go to the gas station and you don't have to talk to anybody. You shove your card in the slot and you pump your gas and you drive away without ever having contact with another human being. Same way at the bank, right? Call your physician's office and you have a computerized voice that says, if you're calling about an appointment, press 1. If you're calling about a referral, press 2. If you're calling about a prescription, press 3. And if you press the right number, eventually you might get to talk to a living, breathing human being. I got to thinking, what if they did that with 911? You call 911, and the computerized voice says, if your emergency is a murder, press 1. If your emergency is a burglary, press 2. If the burglar is still in the house, press 3. If he has a gun, press 4, really hard. You know, it might happen. It has become a very impersonal world. But Jesus took the time to stop in the midst of a crowd and give this woman his personal attention, as if she was the only one there. And then secondly, he expressed kindness by affirming her. Look at verse 47. Then the woman, seeing that she could not go unnoticed, came trembling and fell at his feet. In the presence of all the people, she told why she had touched him and how she had been instantly healed. And then he said to her, Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace. First of all, we need to realize that the disease this woman had made her an outcast. She was not accepted by other people. She was an outcast in her society. They treated her the same way they treated lepers. She had no contact with people, no personal touch. I mean, she hadn't even been able to be around her family for 12 years, the same amount of time that Jairus' daughter had been alive. Her self-esteem must have been as low as it could possibly be. So Jesus affirms her. He affirms her by listening to her story. I think what we have here is a very condensed version of the story that she told him. I mean, It's been 12 years since she's had anyone's attention. 12 years of history to tell. This is the first time someone ever wanted to hear it. So I would think that she just poured out her heart to him in great detail, letting him know all that she had been through. And by him listening intently, by him clinging to every word she was saying, he affirmed her. Are you a good listener? Most of us aren't. Most of us aren't. I mean, we say to someone, how are you? And we expect to get back the traditional, I'm fine, how are you? Have you ever been caught off guard when you said, how are you, and somebody really tells you? Yeah, most of us don't want to hear it. We don't have the time. There was a pastor who was saying that this woman came walking by in his church, and he said, how are you? And she said, you don't want to hear it. And he said, I thought afterward, yeah, she's right, I don't. I'm on my way to do other things. I'm really busy. I really don't have the time to listen. He said, sadly to say, she's right. I didn't want to hear it. Yeah. Irma Bombeck, some of you know who she is, tells the story about the time that she finally got sick of listening. She had just listened to her son tell in minute-by-minute detail about a movie that he had just seen, punctuated by at least 1,000 you knows and okays. And then she received several telephone calls filled with mindless chatter that never seemed to end. So it was with genuine relief that she told the last caller that she had to rush off to the airport. She got into the taxi cab, and as the cab driver drove her to the airport, he told her all about his son, who had gotten a scholarship to college and was making straight A's. And thus Irma had to sit there and listen to all that. She says, but once I got to the airport and realized I was 30 minutes early, I breathed a sigh of relief and thought I have 30 whole minutes to myself when I don't have to listen to anybody. I can just sit here and read my book and not be bothered at all. But as soon as I had opened my book, I heard an elderly female voice that said, I'll bet it's cold in Chicago. I suppose, Irma replied without looking up from her book. I haven't been to Chicago in 3 years, the woman said. My son lives there. That's nice, said Irma. Then the woman continued on. My husband's body is on this plane. We were married for 53 years. I don't drive, you see, and the funeral director was so nice, he drove me to the airport today. Irma recalls that her voice droned on. Here was a woman who didn't want money or advice or counsel. All she wanted was someone to listen. And in desperation, she had turned to a total stranger with her story. Miss Bombeck says she continued to talk to me until they announced that we were boarding the plane. We walked onto the plane, and I saw her sit down in another section, and as I hung up my coat, I heard her say to the person next to her, I'll bet it's cold in Chicago. So many times somebody just needs to hear. You affirm them. They need to talk. They need to tell you their story. And it speaks volumes if you just listen intently. And Jesus affirmed that woman not only by what he did, not only by listening, but by also what he said to her. Daughter, your faith has healed you, and you can go in your way in peace. What an affirmation that must have been. Here's this woman who virtually had no friends, nobody to talk to, and Jesus listens to her, and then he speaks peace over her. She had been in turmoil for 12 years. Jesus speaks peace. He expressed his kindness through affirmation. Finally, Jesus expressed kindness through acceptance. Notice what verse 49 tells us.